Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever looked at your vitamin shelf and thought, I'm doing everything right, but something still feels off? You're taking your pills, you're watching your sugar, you even cut back on those late-night snacks. But despite all that, things aren't working the way they used to. Especially down there, your energy feels drained and your erections, not as firm, not as reliable, and not as satisfying. If that's hitting a little close to home, you're not alone. I had a gentleman walk into my clinic not too long ago, George, 67 years old. A quiet, polite man who finally built up the courage to talk about something that had been bothering him for years. He said, "Doc, I'm doing all the right things, vitamins, clean eating, exercise, even yoga, but my performance, it's gone downhill. I thought these supplements were supposed to help, not make it worse." That got my attention. Because here's the uncomfortable truth that most men over 60 never hear. There are certain vitamins, ones you probably think are good for you, that can actually hurt your sexual health. Yes, vitamins. The same pills you picked up hoping for better energy, clearer focus, and stronger erections may be sabotaging the very thing you're trying to protect. I'm Dr. Robert Jansen, and I've been helping men over 60 reclaim their vitality for over 30 years. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. When it comes to male performance after 60, the devil is often in the details. You might be doing everything right according to a magazine or a commercial, but if you don't understand what your aging body really needs and what it doesn't, you could be making things worse without realizing it. Now let's be clear, I'm not against vitamins. In fact, many of them are essential. But not all vitamins are created equal, and not all of them are safe for men in their 60s and beyond, especially when it comes to testosterone, blood flow, and nerve sensitivity. Some can interfere with your hormones, dull your response, and block circulation where you need it most. And when that happens, the result is exactly what George experienced: fading performance, unpredictable erections, and a silent sense of frustration you don't even want to talk about. That's why I'm speaking up today. You deserve better. You deserve clarity, confidence, and the truth, without the marketing fluff. So if you've ever felt like your body's betraying you, like your manhood isn't what it used to be, I want you to know, it's not too late. The first step is understanding what to remove from your routine, and what to replace it with. Before we dive deeper, I'd love to know, have you ever felt confused or disappointed by your supplements? If this message is resonating with you, do me a small favor. Tap the like button, subscribe to this channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss any updates. And if what I'm saying makes sense, just drop a yes in the comments below. If it doesn't, a simple no is fine too. I read your responses carefully. It helps me shape future advice and speak directly to the needs of this wonderful community. Let's get back to George for a moment. He'd been taking a high-dose multivitamin recommended by a younger trainer at his gym. Sounds helpful, right? Except when we looked at the label, I saw it was overloaded with synthetic vitamin E, vitamin A, and folic acid. 3 ingredients that, in excess, can suppress natural testosterone and impair nitric oxide production, which is crucial for blood flow to the penis. George had no idea. He thought he was helping his body, but in reality, he was flooding it with compounds that his 67-year-old system simply couldn't process the way a 25-year-old could. That's a trap many men fall into. These vitamins are marketed as heart-healthy or immune-boosting, but no one talks about how they interact with age-related hormone changes. For instance, too much synthetic vitamin A can lead to toxicity that builds up over time, affecting not only your liver but also your libido. Folic acid in the wrong form can mask a vitamin B12 deficiency, which is a silent killer of nerve sensitivity and arousal response, and megadoses of vitamin E. They might reduce oxidative stress on paper, but in the male body after 60, they can also reduce androgen activity, leaving you feeling flat both physically and emotionally. When I explained this to George, you could see the wheels turning. He looked down at the floor for a moment and said, "So it's not just in my head," I told him. "No, George, it's not in your head, it's in your blood. And we're going to fix it." And we did. But the first thing we did wasn't to add a new supplement, it was to take a few out. We simplified. We focused on the essentials, quality over quantity. Within 4 weeks, he reported more energy in the morning. In 6 weeks, he said his confidence had returned. And at 8 weeks, he gave me the biggest smile I'd ever seen from him and said, "Doc, I feel like a man again." You see, healing starts with subtraction. Your body already knows how to work, it just needs you to stop interfering. When you remove what's blocking your natural function, everything starts aligning again. Blood flow improves, testosterone begins to rise, and erections become something you look forward to, not something you dread. So if you're sitting there right now thinking about that vitamin bottle on your shelf, or that multivitamin you've been taking for years, don't panic. You don't need to throw everything out just yet. But you do need to be informed. You need to learn which ingredients to be cautious of, which ones to ditch, and which to use more wisely. I'll help guide you through this step by step. We'll explore each of these hidden vitamin threats, not just what they are, but why they're dangerous for you specifically as a man over 60. And we'll talk about what to do instead, because you deserve to feel alive, powerful, and sexually vibrant, no matter your age. And if anything I've said so far made you think twice, don't forget. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell icon so you're always in the loop. Leave a simple yes in the comments if you feel this is something more men need to hear. I promise your voice makes a difference. Let's keep this conversation going. Your health, your confidence, and your future are worth it. Now, when George and I took a hard look at his supplements, the first thing we adjusted was his intake of synthetic vitamin E. And I want to start there today because, out of all the so-called healthy vitamins, this one is often misunderstood. Many men assume vitamin E is good for circulation and heart health. And to be fair, in moderate natural forms it is, but once you cross a certain threshold, especially with the synthetic form called DL-alpha tocopherol, it can start working against you. Why? Because too much vitamin E in the bloodstream can thin your blood to the point that it actually interferes with the natural pressure needed for a strong erection. Think of it like water running through a leaky hose. You lose the firmness, the control, and the responsiveness you once had. It also competes with other essential fat-soluble vitamins, like vitamin K and vitamin D, which your body needs for hormone balance. That's a recipe for disruption. George had been taking 400 IU daily of synthetic E, thinking it was helping him age gracefully. But after years of over-supplementation, it was quietly undermining his manhood. Once we pulled it back and replaced it with a food-based mixed tocopherol complex in much lower doses, his energy stabilized. Within weeks, his firmness returned. It wasn't instant, but it was consistent, and that's what matters at this stage of life. And that brings me to something I think every man over 60 should hear. You cannot approach supplements the way a 30-year-old bodybuilder does. You don't need megadoses, you need balance, and above all, you need personalization, because your body, your hormones, your metabolism, your blood vessels, they're all different now. You're wiser, yes, but your physiology is also more sensitive to imbalance. Now let's talk about the second quiet offender, vitamin A again. It sounds like something you'd want more of, especially with all the hype about immune health and vision protection. But in older men, high doses of preformed vitamin A, retinol, retinol palmitate, can accumulate in the liver and disrupt hormone production, particularly testosterone. And testosterone is key, not just for desire, but for achieving and maintaining an erection. One patient of mine, Frank, 72, came in complaining that his desire was almost completely gone. He'd been taking a cod liver oil supplement daily, because he read online it was great for joints and vision. But no one told him that cod liver oil is also packed with vitamin A, sometimes 3 to 4 times the daily recommended limit in a single teaspoon. When we tested his blood, his retinol levels were sky high. That much vitamin A was suppressing the part of his brain that signals testosterone production. It wasn't aging, it was toxicity. We stopped the cod liver oil, switched to a safer omega-3 source, and within 2 months Frank started reporting more spontaneous desire. Morning wood returned, and his energy during the day picked up. He said, "Doc, I didn't realize I was poisoning myself with something so innocent." That's the key takeaway. What seems harmless isn't always harmless for you, at this age in this season of life. I want to take a moment here and ask, have you ever noticed your libido drop after starting a new vitamin or supplement? If this part of the conversation is clicking with you, let me know by tapping that like button. And if you haven't already, subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss any of our future talks. And leave a yes or no in the comments. I check them, I read them, and they help me guide this community toward what truly matters. Let's move on to the third unsuspecting culprit, folic acid. This one is sneaky because it hides in multivitamins and is often used to support heart health or boost energy. But here's the problem. Folic acid is the synthetic version of vitamin B9, and many older adults, especially men, can't process it efficiently due to a genetic variant called MTHFR. If you have this gene variation, folic acid can accumulate and block the active form your body needs. That buildup causes inflammation, hormone imbalance, and nerve dysfunction. 3 ingredients that kill sexual response. This one hit home for a man named Larry, 66, who had been taking a senior multivitamin religiously. He told me his erections used to be dependable, but lately they felt delayed. Numb even. Not painful, but just not there. He said it was like trying to start a car with no spark. After we ran a few tests, I saw he had elevated unmetabolized folic acid and a B12 deficiency, which often go hand in hand. We immediately stopped the multivitamin and replaced it with a methylated B complex, something easier on his liver and more compatible with his body's processing needs. Within weeks, the sensation came back. It didn't make him feel like a teenager again, but it made him feel like himself again. And for Larry, that meant the world. That's something I want you to hear right now. If something you're taking is dulling your edge, don't wait for it to get worse. Your body is trying to talk to you. Tingling, numbness, loss of desire, weak performance, those aren't just old age, they're signals. And the beautiful thing, when you listen, your body can heal. Let's take a breath here. This isn't about panic, it's about awareness. It's about understanding that supplements, just like medications, need to be approached with care. What worked 30 years ago might not work now, and that's okay. In fact, it's empowering. Because once you know better, you can choose better. You can choose supplements that work with your body, not against it. You can restore function, energy, and even joy to areas of life you thought were gone for good. Just like George, just like Frank, just like Larry. All men who made small, smart shifts and saw big, beautiful changes. So again, if you're finding value in this, don't forget to like this video. Hit that bell, subscribe, and tell me in the comments, yes or no, if this message is landing with you. I truly care about what you think. That's how we make this a community, not just a channel. There's one more common vitamin mistake we haven't talked about yet. And in my opinion, it might be the most dangerous of all, especially if you're on certain medications or dealing with age-related circulation issues. But more on that soon. Because the goal here isn't just information, it's transformation. And you deserve to feel strong, steady, and alive again. There's a phrase I often say to my patients, especially the gentlemen over 60. Sometimes the body doesn't need more help, it needs less interference. And nowhere is that more true than when it comes to your circulation. Because when it comes to firm, consistent, and satisfying erections, blood flow is king. And there's one commonly used vitamin, often disguised as helpful, that can secretly interfere with this process. I'm talking about calcium. Yes, calcium. The same nutrient we've been told is essential for bones and aging well. But here's what they don't tell you. Excess calcium, especially when taken through supplements rather than food, can stiffen your blood vessels, literally. It's called vascular calcification. And when your blood vessels harden or narrow, guess what suffers first? That's right, your ability to get and maintain an erection. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't have any calcium. What I'm saying is this. The body of a 25-year-old processes calcium very differently from the body of a man in his 60s or 70s. In older men, calcium supplements can accumulate in arteries, especially if you're not getting enough vitamin K2 or magnesium to balance it out. That buildup leads to sluggish blood flow and can choke off circulation to your most sensitive, responsive areas. I remember a patient, Martin, 70 years old. He was active, still enjoyed long walks, and took pride in staying fit. But he came to me quietly one day and said, "Doc, everything seems to be working fine, except in the bedroom. It's like I get half the signal, but it never really gets there." We went over his daily routine, and he mentioned he'd been taking 1,200 milligrams of calcium a day for the past 5 years because a TV doctor said it would protect his bones. We ran some tests, including a vascular scan, and the results were eye-opening. He had significant calcification in his lower abdominal arteries, right in the area responsible for pelvic blood flow. Not only that, but his magnesium and vitamin K2 levels were nearly non-existent. Without those cofactors, calcium has no direction. It ends up in your arteries instead of your bones. We stopped the calcium supplement immediately, introduced a K2-rich diet with foods like fermented cheese and natto, added a small magnesium glycinate dose, and focused on leafy greens for natural calcium. Within 2 months, Martin noticed something remarkable. His erections were stronger, longer lasting, and came with more sensation. He even joked, "I didn't expect to be 70 and buying new bedsheets. It wasn't magic. It was balance." And that's what I want every man over 60 to understand. Supplements are tools, not toys. Used wisely, they support life, but overused, or used without understanding, they can backfire, especially on your circulation, which is your lifeline to sexual vitality. If any of this is ringing true for you, I'd love for you to tap the like button and subscribe if you haven't yet. And please, leave a yes in the comments if this message is helping you think differently about your health. A simple no is okay too. It tells me where you're at. And I take every comment seriously when preparing future videos. This is your channel just as much as mine. Now, something important I want to mention here. Many of you may be taking these vitamins because your doctor told you to, or because you read an article or watched a video. And I'm not here to point fingers or place blame. Medicine is always evolving. What was considered safe a decade ago may be outdated now, and your doctor may be treating you for bone density or heart health without fully explaining the sexual health trade-offs. That's why I always recommend a personalized approach. Talk to someone who understands male aging, hormone health, and the delicate relationship between circulation and vitality. If that's not available where you live, just being aware is a huge first step. Knowledge gives you the power to ask better questions and ultimately to make better decisions for your own well-being. Let's revisit George for a moment. Remember him from earlier? After adjusting his vitamin E intake, cutting back on the multivitamin with folic acid, and removing the extra calcium, he experienced a transformation. His erections weren't just back, they felt stronger than they had in years. But more than that, his confidence came back. And that's something I see again and again in my practice. When a man feels like his body is still on his side, even at 65, 70, or beyond, his whole energy changes. He holds his head higher, he smiles more, he reconnects with his partner. Or if he's single, he starts dating again, knowing he's capable of intimacy. And that's not just physical. That's emotional healing. That's hope being restored. You see, most men think the problem is just performance. But underneath that is a deeper question. Am I still the man I used to be? And I'm here to tell you, you are. You might be a little wiser. A little slower, sure. But the fire, the spark, the capacity for love, intimacy, and connection, it's still there. It just needs a little breathing room. And that means removing the things that are smothering it, even if those things look like health from the outside. So take a fresh look at your supplements today, not with fear, but with curiosity. Read those labels, see what you're really putting into your body, and ask yourself, is this helping me feel more like me, or is it just habit? One small decision can create a ripple. George, Martin, Frank, and Larry didn't make radical changes, they just made informed ones. They listened to their bodies, asked questions, and took a step in the right direction. And I believe so can you. Before we wrap up today, if you're finding value in this message, please hit the like button. It really helps this content reach more seniors who need it. Subscribe if you're new here, and don't forget to click that little bell so you never miss a conversation that could change your life. And of course, let me know in the comments, yes or no, if you've been rethinking your vitamins after what we've discussed so far. You're never too old to grow, to heal, or to reclaim something you thought was lost. Your health is your power, and it's never out of reach. Not at 60, not at 70, not ever. By now you've probably realized something important. What's marketed as health isn't always helpful for you, especially after 60. The vitamins and supplements we're told to take every day might not always support our needs as older men. In fact, as we've seen, they can sometimes quietly sabotage the very areas we care about most, like energy, confidence, and yes, sexual performance. Let me share one last story that really hits this home. A man named Paul came to me recently. He was 69, divorced, and starting to date again after many years. He was doing all the right things, working out, eating better, even meditating. But he told me with a heavy voice, "Dr. Jansen, I've lost my edge, and I'm scared I'll embarrass myself with a woman again." That takes courage to admit. We talked through his routine, and wouldn't you know it, he was taking all 4 of the common supplements we've been discussing. High-dose synthetic vitamin E, calcium tablets, a multivitamin loaded with folic acid, and cod liver oil with preformed vitamin A. Now on paper, it looked like he was committed to his health, but in reality, his supplement routine was blocking his hormones, interfering with nerve sensitivity, and restricting blood flow to his pelvic region. His body wasn't broken, it was just being overwhelmed. So we took a step back. We simplified. We removed the synthetic forms of those vitamins, added a low-dose whole food-based supplement that matched his specific needs, and focused on nutrient-rich meals over pills. And here's the part that still gives me goosebumps. 2 months later, he came in smiling from ear to ear. "It happened," he said. "Everything worked, naturally. I felt connected, strong, like me again." That right there, that's what this is all about. Feeling like yourself again. Not chasing youth, not trying to become someone you were 40 years ago. But reclaiming the vitality, the steadiness, the quiet confidence that comes from a healthy, responsive body. You deserve that. Every man over 60 does. So let's quickly reflect on what we've learned. Some vitamins, taken in excess or in synthetic form, can quietly suppress testosterone, reduce blood flow, dull sensation, and interfere with the very systems that give you pleasure and performance. These include high doses of synthetic vitamin E, preformed vitamin A, folic acid from cheap multivitamins, and calcium taken without the right cofactors. None of them are bad in isolation, but in your body at this age, they require caution and care. And the best part, these are all things you can change today. You don't need a prescription. You don't need to spend hundreds of dollars. You just need awareness and the willingness to ask yourself, is what I'm taking really helping me feel more alive, or is it just habit? I'd love for you to take a look at your supplement shelf today. Pull out those bottles, read the labels, ask questions, and if something doesn't feel right, bring it up with a doctor who understands men's health at your age, or drop your questions in the comments because I read every one of them. This is a safe space to learn and grow together. And hey, if you found value in this conversation, please take a second to hit that like button. It helps the message reach more seniors who need to hear it. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and make sure to tap the bell icon so you don't miss future guidance. And let me know below with a yes or no. Has this video changed the way you think about your supplements? Because here's the truth. Your body is still capable of healing, still capable of intimacy, still capable of connection. I've seen it in George, in Frank, in Martin, in Larry, in Paul. And I believe it's possible for you too. Sometimes all it takes is removing the hidden blockers, getting out of your own way, and letting your body do what it was designed to do. You are not broken, you are not done, you are not past your prime, you're wiser now. And with the right knowledge and a little course correction, you can feel stronger, more confident, and more connected than you have in years. So be gentle with yourself, be curious, be willing to learn. You've made it this far in life, and the best chapters might still be ahead. I'm Dr. Robert Jansen, and it's been an honor to walk you through this journey. Until next time, take care of yourself, trust your body, and remember, being a man isn't about how you perform, it's about how you live. And when your body supports you, everything else becomes easier. Stay strong, stay wise, and I'll see you in the next video.